The Carnival of Freaks, Chapter 6, The Big Halloween Send-Off. As the sheriff drives off, a feeling within him lingered in his mind. He knows something ain't right, and that Lovecraft is hiding a secret. He doesn't know what it is, but he knows it's wicked. For the rest of the morning and most of the afternoon, the sheriff pondered on his thoughts, while he followed up on multiple leads to no avail. It's now 7 p.m., 5 hours till midnight, and Halloween. The sheriff sits in his office, still fixated on what the carnival is hiding. On his desk are a bunch of files from the old carnival massacre of decades past. The sheriff, having been a deputy at the time, remembers it all too well. However, what puzzles him is Richard Lovecraft and his connection, if any, to the old carnival. The old ringmaster who ran it had no children, and most of his troupe were killed by the angry mob. He looks through various files and can find no record on Richard Lovecraft. Who is this man, he wonders. Another hour passes. It's now 8 p.m. The sheriff decides to take a break and goes home to see his family. He stays home for about 2 hours before heading back to the station. His break helped him find a new sense of energy. As he drives back to the station, he sees an elder couple giving a sermon at the town square. He parks on the curb and he decides to give it a listen. "We are all God's children, and we all should accept His divine power. He has blessed the pure and punished the wicked. This carnival that has come to our town is full of sin and must be driven away. These freaks are soldiers of Satan, and us God-fearing Puritans must put an end to it all. Tomorrow is Satan's holiday, and we have so little time to prevent this satanic show that this Richard Lovecraft has planned. We know that monster has something to do with the disappearance of our grandson, Mickey Cash. We must prevent what happened decades ago when a carnival came to our town. Act like soldiers of Christ, and smite down the wicked." The horde of people then start to sing psalms with the elderly couple. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms. The sheriff then proceeds to make his way to the elderly couple. The goal is to get some answers, since they're the grandparents of Mickey Cash. "Excuse me, I'm wondering if I could ask you both some questions," says the sheriff. "Good evening, and of course, my name is Abraham David, and this is my wife Dahlia David. How can we be of service?" "Pleasure to meet you both. I know about your grandson, Mickey Cash. Any information can help us find him," says the sheriff. "Absolutely, sir. Anything to help us find our sweet boy. He's all we have in this world after his parents died in a car crash." "Perfect. For starters, tell me about the boy's parents before they died," asked the sheriff. "It would be wise to discuss such matters in private," responds Abraham. "Of course. We can go to my office, have a cup of coffee, replies the sheriff. That would be lovely, says Dahlia. The three then enter the sheriff's car to make the 5-minute drive to his office. They arrive at the station to see it in total chaos. The sheriff orders Abraham and Dahlia to remain in the car while he finds out what's wrong. He then leaves, enters the station. As he leaves, the elder couple hold hands and start to sing, leaning on the everlasting arms. Deputy, what's going on here? Shouts the sheriff. Boss, we got a situation. All hell's about to break loose, says a frazzled deputy. He then hands the sheriff a black box with a red ribbon on top of it. What is this? Says the sheriff. I don't know, boss. For the last half hour, the whole town has been ringing us. Apparently they got the same thing, answers the deputy. The sheriff takes a box, places it on a table. He opens it and sees photos of the many missing children. The photos aren't lurid, but they make the sheriff very uneasy. Underneath the photo is a letter, and it says, Come one, come all, to Richard Lovecraft's Carnival of Freaks as it presents its big Halloween send-off show. See the madness and the terror. See the secrets of a buried past revealed. And all is shock and horror. Come to the Carnival of Freaks, and don't forget to bring Abraham and Dahlia David, the guests of honor. Curtain call is 12 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Have a happy Halloween, normies. The sheriff runs to his deputy and orders him to send all units to the carnival. He then races to his squad car and hauls ass. The ride is very quiet and unsettling, as the sheriff now has to figure out the connection with the carnival to Abraham and Dahlia. One way or another, the sheriff will get his answer. The sheriff pulls up to the carnival and he sees a horde of angry people with weapons. He knows that he must solve this mystery now more than ever before. In his soul, he won't allow another massacre. All right, people, break it up. Now, shouts the sheriff. The angry mob continue to surround the gate of the carnival until the sheriff pulls out his gun and shoots it to silence the crowd. At that moment, Crisscross, along with the Zombie King, come walking to the gate. The mob is stone silent as the gruesome twosome reach the gate. Where are Abraham and Dahlia David? Demands Crisscross. Abraham and Dahlia then timidly walk up to the gate with the sheriff leading them. When this gate opens, only Abraham and Dahlia shall enter. The sheriff is only allowed to escort them and observe, says Crisscross. I accept the terms. Now open the gate, demands the sheriff. Welcome to the Carnival of Freaks. Now enjoy the show. The gates open and the trio enter the carnival, a world to itself. Crisscross directs the trio to a large, big top tent where Richard Lovecraft awaits their arrival. The sheriff leads Abraham and Dahlia through the carnival, which is decorated in hellish imagery. The look and feel of the carnival has this Nightmare on Elm Street / Shining type of vibe to it. The trio reach the big top, which is lit up in a white, orange, and black glow. When they enter the tent, they see Richard Lovecraft, along with the voodoo priest, witch doctor, and soul taker, standing in the middle of the ring. Their presence gets off an unworldly intimidation. Welcome to my carnival, the place I've called home for years, shouts Lovecraft in a stoic voice. The trio walk closer, being a mere 2 feet away from Lovecraft and his trope. Why are we here? But more importantly, who are you? And where's our grandson? Demands an angry Abraham. Lovecraft slowly walks over to Abraham until he's towering over him. A long time ago, my parents, 2 zealots, left me to die on the night of my birth. I was then raised by a carnival ringmaster, who was my real and true father. He helped me discover my birth parents, the Davids, Abraham and Dahlia, who by the time I was 10 had a 5-year-old daughter. I never forgot them, and always had to make sure I kept a close eye, responds Richard Lovecraft. Dahlia then walks up to Lovecraft, looks deep into his eyes. Without any hesitation, she can instantly tell that he's telling the truth. We were young and scared when you were born. As your parents, forgive us and tell us where our grandson, your nephew Mickey Cash is, cries the desperate Dahlia. Richard Lovecraft then walks over to the old woman in a very ghostly way. One could say that he could have been floating. We may share blood, but that doesn't mean we're family. This town slaughtered the people I called family, and killed my father. The ground where we stand is that of my father's carnival, says an angered Lovecraft. Time is wasting. Just tell us where the children are, pleads the sheriff. Before Lovecraft can talk, he's interrupted by a frazzled Crisscross. He takes a moment to catch his breath. Master, the mob, they broke down the gate. A massacre has begun, shouts Crisscross. Find your brother Jigsaw and lead the others to safety, replies Lovecraft. No, I won't leave you. Priest, Doc, and Soul Taker behind, cries out Crisscross. Lovecraft then put his hand on Crisscross's shoulder. It's too late for us, Quentin, especially with what I'm about to do. Now go find your brother and save the trope. Crisscross obeys and runs to find his brother. As he leaves, a carnival worker enters the big top. He's dressed in a Lucifer-like costume. He slowly walks and stands at Lovecraft's side. God damn it, enough of the stalling. Tell us where the children are before the mob starts to cause damage, shouts the sheriff. Lovecraft then walks over to a microphone. He turns it on, the loudspeaker, so that the angry mob can hear him. He then begins to talk. Welcome everyone to the Carnival of Freaks and our big Halloween send-off show. I am your host, Richard Lovecraft, aka the Freak Show Bastard. Many years ago, this town would ridicule my family and treat us like nothing. So over the course of many months, we took your children and showed them the way of the carnival. We made them one of us with a loving cup. Then one Halloween night, this town slaughtered my family and killed my father. There was also one that night where those missing children died as well. This town's hatred of freaks blinded them, and they paid the ultimate price. The mob, having heard this truth of decades ago, go into absolute frenzy. They start to burn down the carnival in a fiery blaze. They also kill any carny that comes in their sight. On the other end of the compound, Crisscross gathers as many carnies as he can, while also looking for Jigsaw. He finally finds him and his brother's prankster, trickster, and jester gathering carnies themselves. Jordan, we have to work together and save the carnival, shouts Crisscross. Jigsaw and his group then run towards them. Quentin, I know a secret passageway that can lead us all out of here, safely, says Jigsaw. Good. Take the Zombie King and my group and lead them. I have to go back and save Lovecraft and the Chosen Three, cries Crisscross. Before he can leave, Jigsaw grabs his arm. They sealed their fate and they accept it. I won't let you join them. Despite our bad blood, you are my brother, and I need you to help me, says Jigsaw. No, I won't abandon them, says Crisscross. Jigsaw then hugs his brother and says, this time I'm not abandoning you. The two, having reconciled, join forces and lead their groups through the secret passageway that Lovecraft once used to escape. Meanwhile, Richard Lovecraft and his Chosen Three remain inside the big top as the carnival burns all around it. Lovecraft, you're a monster and shouldn't be allowed to live, says Abraham. Lovecraft stares at his birth father and says, I'm a monster created by you and the whore. At that moment, a gunman had snuck into the big top and he sees the Lucifer Carney. He takes his rifle and shoots him in the back. The voodoo priest then sharply turns to the gunman in an exorcist-like way. He gives a death stare that instantly kills the gunman with a heart attack. The shocked sheriff pulls out his gun and slowly walks toward the Lucifer Carney and takes off his mask. He's in absolute horror at what he sees. He then turns to Abraham and Dahlia. Mr. and Mrs. David, we need to leave now. Why? What's wrong? Asks Abraham. We need to go. I have to stop this massacre, shouts the sheriff. Abraham and Dahlia then walk up to the dead body, and to their horror, they see their lost grandson. Oh my God, Mickey! Shrieks Dahlia. Abraham, in a rage, sees a piece of shrapnel and attempts to use it until he's stopped by the sheriff. Mr. David, we need to go now, shouts the sheriff. Abraham, having gone back to his senses, goes to get Dahlia, who's in a catatonic state. Along with the sheriff, the trio attempt to leave the big top but are blocked by the witch doctor and soul taker. Lovecraft then turns to the exit way. Let them go. Their punishment is to live with uncanny loss. Witch doctor and soul taker then step aside and allow the trio to leave. As they walk to the sheriff's car, they see nothing but pure and unholy chaos. Fire surrounds them like a blazing wall, with only one way out. They see an ungodly amount of dead bodies that can rival any Friday the 13th film. One hand just barely grabs the sheriff's ankle. His mask muffles his voice as he gargles blood through the hole of the mask. The sheriff then takes off the mask and he discovers it's one of the missing children. Without a second thought, he frantically tries to stop the mob, but fails to convince them. He bumps into a townsman and pleads for his help, but he has none of it. At that instant, a carny dressed as Michael Myers from the Halloween films comes running down the path. The townsman shoots him down as if he was a rabid dog. He has a big shit-eating grin stretched across his face as he walks to see his fresh kill. However, his grin turns to horror when he peels off the mask to see that of his own son. In a domino-like effect, the rest of the townsfolk make the same discovery. Enraged, the mob marches toward the big top with barrels of Molotov cocktails. Richard Lovecraft sees the mob and knows the end is mere seconds away. The three of you should leave now. I accept my fate and don't want you to share it, says a calm and sullen Lovecraft. And the voodoo priest then leads the witch doctor and soul taker to Lovecraft. We are the carnival. The four of us are one. We are family, and we stay together, says the voodoo priest. The mob throws cocktails at the big top, causing it to go up in flames. Lovecraft and his chosen three then form a circle by holding hands. The voodoo priest says a prayer to the Baron Semendi, offering themselves to be at his mercy. The big top is engulfed in massive flames as the four remain in the center of the ring.